around. Y'all come on. Let's go inside.
When I was 17 years old, I smoked for the first time. And it was like tasting and smelling the 1001 Nights, the Marco Polo stories. And on top of that, in the 70s, to smoke hash was seen like the most devilish, evil stuff you could do to yourself and your family.
Right.
Yeah, literally. So you have like, I had never experienced so much well-beingness in my life, and everything around me was telling me that I was playing with the devil. So that pressure and that all those kid dream of traveling compacted when I was 18 years old. I left France and I spent 18 years, 20 years solid just traveling.
Wow.
I didn't go back home. I didn't know where. Some years I didn't even know which year I was. I had no direction. I was just traveling, and for once or twice I came back to France more or less to make money, and there is a gap between you and the people you know, and it becomes bigger, and then you have more relation with foreigners in people that you have half a dozen words in common than with your own people at home, and then you can't stop. And it's like, you know, when you're in a place where you don't know nothing and nobody, everything is foreign, like the smell, the noise, everything. Your awareness is like 100, it's like overloaded. And when you live every day like that, it becomes addictive. And that's what I never stay more than 3-4 months in a place. Even the place I love the most in my life, as soon as I was starting to get into habit, I would split. Wow. I needed that constant newness and stuff that make me
adrenaline.
It's like kids with video game. It's like when you're overloaded with pleasure stuff. Well, that's what you need to, you know what I mean?
I love it. So the traveling, it evolved you.
Yeah, and the traveling, as much as I would have given even smoking for traveling, I would have given anything for traveling. I never had really strong relation with any woman but my wife when I met her, because we both were traveling and had a life on ourselves, because traveling is a mistress that is very demanding. You give up everything for it.
Right.
It gives you back a lot, but there is you need that total freedom, that you have no responsibility whatsoever. The only limitation that you have is the tool that give you the ability to travel, money.
Right.
And when you travel in third world country, in those years, you could really live with peanuts in paradise. And because I smoked, I would spend at least every year 3-4 months deep into a producing place to make my smoke for the year, basically. So I would stay months with a local making hash.
Wow.
In every country I have been for 18 years solid.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I read into it a little bit. Obviously wanted to get some background information on you. I was fascinated. Some of the videos I watched, I felt passion for the fact that this means a lot to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's all my life. I smoked, I was 17 years old, I'm 62. When I smoked the first time, it's like love at first sight. I had never felt so well. I had never loved like that in my life. You know what I mean? It was like pure pleasure. And it's like you're 18 and you travel and you smoke your head out in crazy culture, and it was like a release into a country where there is it's part of the culture. So it was like highly prohibited, but it's part of the culture. So you don't have that pressure of you're doing something really heavy.
Right.
Then I went to India. And India, it's literally part of a religion. You dedicate your smoke to the god every time you smoke.
Wow.
The cannabis plant is, according to the Veda, is born in a drop of the elixir of life that fall from the sky when the god and the demon were fighting over it. So it's like there is a lot. So it became something much bigger for me. And then I came to Cali and I met for the first time people who had used cannabis solely because it was a medicine. I didn't know it was a medicine. I knew a lot of stuff like tech, local, how to make hash, charas and stuff, but I didn't know that it was medicinal. I had never seen a tricon in my life. I didn't know what was cannabinoid. I was super good with the tech, but I was totally ignorant the product I was working with. And living in producing country, I have seen magic happening with resin through time and pressing and stuff.
Right.
And when you ask a local a question, when you ask them, let's say, why do you keep your plant in a dark room for 3 to 6 months before you sieve, they're not going to explain you the cure. They're going to tell you it makes resin better. They know for a fact that if you keep that long and you cure that long the plant in a good condition, your resin is going to be better. Right. If you ask them why they press with it, they're going to tell you because it makes good ash. You ask them why do you press in the first time? Because no good smoking otherwise. You know what I mean? They know fact, but they don't know the science behind. So not only I was deadly crazy curious about, I had a lot of questions in my mind when I came to the States, but also I needed to prove the value of tradition to the eyes of that new hash culture that was born in California, that has no relation with the culture I have from being European and traveling in hash producing country.
Right.
And I'm when you get the science behind the product you work with, it's like you're a craftsman. There is two things in your life. There is a product and there is a tool. But the product defines the tool. So I knew the tool up to being able to use my bare hand to collect cream. But I didn't know the product. So by learning the product now, not only I can tell you to the day if you are harvested too early or too late your plant, but I can make specific hash. I can make pure CBD if I want. I can play with the cannabinoid because I know how they create each other. Right. Before that, I didn't even know what was cannabinoid. It brought me to a level I don't make just hash anymore. I can not only I have the whole diversity of terpene. It's like every time it's stepping like in a new producing hash country because they're so different one from the other. Then I have that whole ability to manipulate the cannabinoid and get into creating pure CBD, pure CBC if you give me the strain, pure CBG if you give me the strain, because I have the ability to manipulate and I know the science behind. I don't understand the science behind truly, like the chemistry of the synthase of the transformation of cannabinoid and stuff, but I know the step of transformation, and I know what triggers the step of transformation, so I can manipulate that.
Right. So everything combined it to make, I would have to call you, they say people are masters of something. I'm feeling like I'm sitting beside a grand master.
No, you know.
I know you're going to be humble.
No, but it's not even being humble or not. Yeah, I know a lot of shit, and but it's like I have still so much to learn that I cannot put my attention to other products that fascinate me, like extract. I come from the perfume industry. Okay. I was born in south of France. BHO, like the ability, the potential of BHO, it's like I make wine.
Yes.
They distillate, they can create, and you can create pure isolate, and then you headbutt the big pharma because they have been trying to do that for years. They were telling us we couldn't do it. And so that's the reason behind trying to make it synthetic. Now I know kids with $50,000, they rock it all day long. You know what I mean? It's like they destroy the big farmers.
Yeah.
They're really scared of not the plant, the people that when they were starting to use the BHO and CO2, then they really get scared.
Right.
Because then you go to the compound. It's not the plant. It's like when you extract, it's like taking the juice from a fruit.
Right.
Okay? It's not the fruit anymore. You cannot even compare it to the fruit anymore. You get into other domain. Me, when I make ash, I don't take the juice from the matrix. I don't take the resin from the matrix. That matrix that created all those cannabinoids is part of the ash that ingest it and it become part of the ash. Like you need the skin of the grape.
Right.
You don't have the juice only, you will never be able to make wine.
Right.
It's that type of difference that there is between hashish will always be something very special because it's unique. It tastes unique, it burns unique, there is no extract that are close to the type of buzz you get and the experience you get from hash. However, everything, all the different extracts that are created by BHO are amazing different experience that when you work with people that really care for their craft, they create products. There is friend who do sauce là. It's a flower, and I know that genetic. It comes from my breeder.
Right.
And to the point where I want to work trim for trim with them to know which terpene they're actually getting that I don't, and which terpene I transform when the hash is pressed and stuff. You create 50 plus new compound. You change everything. So I'd like to see how much of a difference there is between a product that can literally take everything to the highest level and me being limited in that ability and transforming what I get to see how far the difference
Spectrum can go.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy. So tell me a little bit about Temple Ball.
So Temple Ball, when I make Temple Ball, first because it's a most intuitive way to maximize the transformation that is happening once you press resin together. There is a lot of terpenes that are corrosive, and there is all that membrane lipid and all the stuff that are part of the membrane, they're going to react together. And slowly, the corrosivity of the terp are going to absorb, eliminate everything. It's absorbed into the resin. Even when you see contaminant, just after pressing, 3 weeks, 1 month later, there is nothing anymore. It disappears.
That's what I found the most amazing. I didn't know at all that I watched you ferment hash.
In 1980 in Nepal, when I met my wife, I